Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another weekly reads video. This is a video in which I usually tell you what I read in the previous week and what I plan to read in the upcoming one. This time around though, I have to update you about what I read in the past 2 weeks, because if you watched my previous video, or if you didn't, you will learn everything now. I got sick and last week I was just in no shape to film anything. I got sort of a flu and then my throat got really sore, my tonsils got huge, I was coughing, I was sniffling, it was just annoying. I'm not a patient at all, so it was annoying, but I guess I did need the rest, so you know, I'm not 100% yet, but I'm getting there, and I decided that this time around I do have to update you, because otherwise, you know, there's gonna be just 20 bucks, or maybe not, but more about that later. So in the week before last, I actually managed to finish 2 books, and the first of those is A Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo. I had about 100 pages left of this book, so you know, I didn't read this whole thing. And I have to say that I really enjoyed it a lot better than its predecessor, Six of Crows, which you probably know about. But yeah, so I'm not going to go into the synopsis of this story because it is a sequel, but I have to say that I really liked it. As I mentioned, I enjoyed it a lot more than Six of Crows. I like that, you know, the characters were already established, you just jump into the story and it starts moving from the very beginning, which is something that I really didn't like in Six of Crows, because in that book it took like over half of a book for the story to actually pick up, and I hated that. It sort of really dragged. This one definitely doesn't drag, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the banter between these characters. I thought there was a lot more of it, and it was a lot more enjoyable than in Six of Crows. You know, I like Kaz as a character. He's a manipulative little bastard that comes up with great plans and just can seem, you know, he seems to be able to predict everything, and sometimes I'm not sure if he was lucky or not, but things work out for him. The only issue that I had with this book is its length. I definitely think that it could be like 100 pages shorter than it is, because there's, you know, the story progresses and there's a setback, and the story progresses and there's a setback, and it happens over and over and over again. And at some point I was like, oh come on, just let the story progress and finally we see what it happens. And that was my only issue with this book, actually. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So the other book that I managed to finish that week was Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. This is my buddy read with Haley. We are buddy reading the whole trilogy together, and I will leave her channel up above so you can go check her out. If you do not know what the Red Rising trilogy is about, it's about Darrow, who is a red. So basically he's at the bottom of their society, because it's sort of color-coded, and you know, the reds are at the bottom, the golds are at the top, and he is basically a slave. And he lives on Mars, and he, you know, lives in this community that is digging for this element that is supposed to help terraform Mars, and they think they're doing a lot of good, but they're not aware of the fact that Mars is already terraformed and people are happily living on it. And once he finds that out, he's sort of dragged into this rebellion against golds, and that's what this trilogy is about. So while I had a lot of issues with Red Rising, and I am going to film a review this week on that, so you can go watch it, I have to say that this is my favorite book of the trilogy so far. The story really was more what I expected. It was really like a space opera thing. It was a lot more action in that regard, you know, spaceships and that, which didn't happen in the first book, and I really enjoyed it a lot better. It's a really fast-paced book. A lot of information is given that you just have to sort of take in and deal with it. Oh, I still have issues with Darrow, the main character. He's, I don't know, all his plans seem to fail. He just changes his mind really often, and I really don't care for that in the character at all. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So moving on to last week, I again managed to finish 2 books, and the first of those is Anne Bishop's Marked in Flesh, which is book 4 in her Others series. This is a series that's it's an urban fantasy series that takes place in a world similar to ours, but in their world, nature is a lot more powerful, and it's actually humans that have to adapt. You know, they do not manipulate nature, but nature sets the rules, and we get to meet Meg, who is a blood prophet, and she escapes from this facility in which she was kept for basically for her prophecies. You know, people were making money off of her, and she ends up in a courtyard, and a courtyard is sort of a go-between nature and humanity, and a lot of natural nature creatures live there, such as, you know, vampires, werewolves, other beings, you know, and Meg ends up there, and she creates a home for herself there, and this is a really enjoyable series. I love it, as you probably know if you have watched many of my videos. I mention it a lot, and I decided to reread this one because the last book, Etched in Bone, was coming out last week, and I just sort of was in the mood to read it. I didn't feel like reading anything else, and I knew that this was going to be an easy read, an enjoyable one, and decided to do it. And this is still not my favorite book in the series at all, but I did enjoy it very much. So moving on from this, I naturally picked up Etched in Bone, which is the last book in Meg's story, because the series is going to continue on in this world, but the story of these characters is done. That's how I, think this is gonna work out. But yeah, so I really enjoyed Etched in Bone again. It's again not my favorite of the series, and I sort of thought it was a weird conclusion to these characters' stories. It just seemed like Marked in Flesh would be a better ending, sort of. The ending was changed a bit, but I still loved it. I really love these characters, and I liked, how their story ended. These are not cheesy books, there are hints of romance, but it's not in your face. Really, it's if you're against romance, pick these books up. They're fantastic. There's barely any, as I said, there are hints, but it's not in your face. It's not all out there, and it's really tasteful, I guess. And I really cannot wait for the next book next year to come out, because I want to see more of this world. I want to meet new characters, and yes, I'm really happy that I got to finish this series. So those were all the books that I managed to finish in the last 2 weeks. Now what I'm currently reading is A Morning Star by Pierce Brown. I'm buddy reading this with Haley, as I mentioned, and I have issues with this book again, and they're pretty similar to what I said about Crooked Kingdom. The story progresses, and there's a setback, and there's a lot of that again, and there were parts where I really felt that the story was dragging, and I just wanted to end. I sort of am done with this, series, and I want to see how it ends, and we are basically done. So next week you will learn more about this, or how I felt about it at the very end. So once I'm done with Morning Star, I might actually take a bit of a break from reading. I'm not really in a slump, or at least I don't think I would call it a slump. I just think that I'm fed up with reading right now, and I need to take a little bit of a break from it. I read so many books in the last couple of months that I just feel like that I have to devote my time to something else for a while. Not that I'm not gonna read. I am gonna read, just not, I'm not gonna force myself to read that much. I'm just gonna see how it goes. I might surprise myself and I'm gonna read a whole bunch, I don't know. But I feel that I need a bit of a break, so, And the book that I actually am gonna read, however long it takes me, is a book that it's not fantasy or sci-fi, because I have read so much of that lately that I need a break from those two, and I decided to pick up a mystery, and it's a mystery that's in Slovene, and I forgot to check the English title, but I do know that it's translated into English, and I will write it down below in the description box, okay, for you, so you can go check it out. But in Slovene it's called Resnica o aferi Quebert, and it's by Joel Dicker. I have no clue what it's about. I think there's a movie or a TV series gonna be based on it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna slowly get through this book and see how it goes. But yes. So that's basically it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments if you have ever experienced being tired of reading. I am curious about that. But yes, thank you for watching this video and see you in my next one. Bye!